Let's just address it now. This is my pathetic attempt at Movember. Yeah. Dislike the video. I do not care. Because it's international break in November, teams have played like, what, 14, 13, 15 games-ish around that mark. You can sort of see where teams are. So I'm going to go through the top 10 or top 11 in this case and see where we're at. See where this promotion race is at in League One. We'll probably do it for Championship as well afterwards if this does well. But I'm not accepting applications from below 11th place. So even though teams or bigger sides have had really horrible starts like Wigan, Blackpool, Rotherham aren't a big side, but you know what I mean, they historically get out of this league quite easily. Charlton, even Peterborough in 12th. I'm just not listening to you. Regardless of any of these teams who win league, I just do not care at this moment in time. I could come and do another one in February 1st when we know where teams are seriously at, but at minute, no. I will talk about Peterborough a little bit first, actually, because they're down in 12th at minute, and they've still got some very, very good players. But they're still much, much weaker than last. Like, obviously, last season, you've got Burrows at left back. Their entire defence has changed. Burrows at left back. Knight's not there anymore at centre half. Neither is Edwards. Who else? Mason Clark, wing has gone to Coventry. And they couldn't go up last season with that squad that were miles better than this one. So if they couldn't do it with that one, regardless of the fact that they've got like Poku and some still very, very talented players at this team, they've got no chance, I don't think, of having a serious attempt at it. Because Peterborough's owners are going to sell out with a pulse. Especially someone like Poku, because as far as I know, his contract runs out in summer. He's going to go... Peterborough could be top at league by 10 points in January. He will be gone for £1.5 million or something like that to Birmingham, to Millwall, Bristol City, someone like that, because he is just cash hungry. It makes more sense, I think, financially for Peterborough's owner to be in League One with the money that he makes on players that he can say that are better than they actually are because they're playing against shit teams in this league. You look at Mason Clark, what he was doing in this league. He was taking the absolute living piss. At Coventry, has done nothing so far. So, and it's just showing me, like, especially at Peterborough, just an extreme case of it. Your league position and the state that you're in on 31st of December and then 1st of February are so different. You can be in such a worse position regards to how you ended the year. So I'm going to ignore Peterborough. And even though Exeter are in 9th, I'm going to, like, half ignore them as well, which can be a little bit unfair because obviously they're 9th for a reason. They're a good side. But I do think they'll fade away. They've scored 14 goals this season so far. Everyone else is on 20 plus. Do you know what I mean? Even like Mansfield, who aren't like the best going forward, have got 20 goals. Exeter, as good as they are defensively, they concede at least in league, which is very, very good. The keeper's fantastic. They stick to a game plan quite well to be defensively solid, especially at home. But I just cannot see a team that is scoring a goal a game being up there. So, shoot me. But this is my video and I will do what I want. So the first two that I'm going to speak about, I'm going to do two at once. It's Bolton in 11th and Huddersfield in 8th. I'm going to speak about both of them at the same time. Because this is two sides that, even though they are, top 12, this is two of the bigger sides in the league that you expect a lot more of them. And the fact that they're 8th and 11th after 14 games that they've both played ain't good enough for what you expect from these teams. And they've both been shit for different reasons. Because the managers are both naive in different ways, I think. I do think that is what it is coming down to, because they've definitely both got top 6 squads. And don't get me wrong, they've both got top 6 managers as well, but they're just not finding it. They're just not working, are they, at the minute? Like, if I know what about Duff, Huddersfield managers, after it were at us 2 years ago now, if I know what about this bloke, it will go 1-0 up or 2-0 up at an absolute maximum and then sit back. He tries killing games off too early, or it won't go for someone's throat like a lot of these other teams will that have scored a lot more goals on Huddersfield. It won't take that initiative to go and proper hammer somebody and get your confidence up and bring you all this sort of belief that you can have. Because he will go 1 or 2-0 up and then he will sit back, which just is not good enough, I don't think. Like, the only time they've won by more than 2 goals in league is Bolton away quite early on. Where is it? This year. This is the only game that they've won by more than 2 goals in league. It was 4-0 away at Bolton, which is, I mean, that's quite funny, isn't it? Since we're talking about them both at the same time. And I do definitely see Huddersfield as being a top 6 team. Definitely. By the time it's done, these 100% are going to be in playoffs. And they have recently been a lot better, especially since, like, this after the play does, it were here, and then this international break gave them a good rest, and then they've come into that and not lost in league since. So the international break were good, and they have been a lot better since. But I still think they're missing that bite, that little bit of edge that maybe like a Wickham currently has got, where they're going and smashing teams. They're not just like plucking by with like 2-0s, 1-0s, 2-1s, stuff like that. They're hammering teams. They're proving week by week that they're a serious team. And it's maybe me thinking about Duff. Can he get it over the line? Has he got that in him to just seriously just get that one last step and get over the line, because obviously we got absolutely scammed in playoff final, and it's not because I'm bitter, it's because we got robbed. If Huddersfield go 1-0 down, can they turn it around to win? Not turn it around and draw, can they turn it around and win? Like a Birmingham or a Wickham or Barnsley can do, for example. I'm not just sticking Barnsley in the set piece. We are obviously a good side, we're in this list. Because that's what Duff were like at Barnsley. If we went 1-0 down, it were like, well, we've not got 3 points today, because he just didn't have it in him tactically to claw a win back after he'd start losing. Have they got knack to finish it off? I think they've definitely got the knack to finish in top 6, but have they got knack to be an auto chaser? I don't think so. Have they got knack to go up? Maybe, but Bolton, I think, do have that in them. Even though they've been a lot more inconsistent, I think, Bolton than Huddersfield this season, and they're still obviously a very good side. But Bolton are just so all over the place all the time. I never know what I'm expecting from them. And they're weak for a different reason, which is based on how they're building up and the stubbornness that he has got. The games that Bolton lose is against sides where they're happy to let Bolton have ball. They're happy to let Bolton have 60% possession in game and just pass it around the back three, doing not weird, because Bolton have not got a clue how to break a side down that just goes and plays them in defence. They ain't got a clue. They cannot break a low block down to save the life, Bolton. Because if you are someone like Stockport or Exeter that have got a win against Bolton this season, if you're happy to just let them have ball, just sit in and defend and play on counter-attacks, you'll probably get a result against them. Bolton aren't pumping ball into box enough. That's the main thing for me, is that, especially like Sam Allardyce in Premier League, this is Bolton's identity. Get ball into box as much as you possibly can, but they're not doing. They push the wing backs so far up all the time and don't utilise them to what wing backs are made for, to spam crosses into box. They're not doing that. They're not good enough to play them intricate balls in final third to break a team down that is just going to camp in its box. So it ends up being that they get really frustrated that they've got all that ball but they can't break it down and they're not doing anything with it. So they end up having pop shots from edge at box. And they're inflating the shot stats by taking them from outside of box when they're not quality chances. Because this season, they've lost 5 league games, Bolton, and all of them have been to nil. Stockport 5-0. Lost 2-0 away at Birmingham. I'm not that bothered about that one, in fairness. 4-0 at home to Huddersfield, quite early on. 2-0 at home to Exeter. Like, home games as well, and you lose to nil. And then Charlton away 2-0 as well. So in the 5 losses this season, that is 15 goals conceded and none scored. 15-0. And apart from Birmingham game where they lost 2-0, that is 4 teams that have all deployed exact same game plan against Bolton, where they're happy to sit back, they're happy to let Bolton have all that ball, they're going to push the wing backs all the way up, not use the width properly. So if you're defensively solid and you're good on a counter, that is where Bolton are losing the games from. They cannot break teams down, and they're committing way too many men forward that aren't good enough to then get back all at once, and they're just getting slapped on a counter. The thing is with Bolton, which again, it separates them from a lot of sides in this division, as stubborn as ever is, and as annoying as it might be from a Bolton fan's perspective, he will not get sacked because he is going to get you in playoffs. Even if he don't get you up, he's going to get you in playoffs, because Bolton have got players that other teams do not have. And at the end of the day, whatever you want to look at it, tactics, whatever, better players equals more points. It is literally as simple as that. And Bolton have got Baxter, Santos, Sheehan, McAtee, Charles, Collins. They've got some very, very, very talented top-end League One players that other teams just ain't got. They can't compete with that. And obviously January can kill you big time. It can seriously bend you over January if you're relying on your star players to win your games and you've got nothing like a Mansfield, for example, haven't really got any star boys, but they're just chipping away and constantly getting points anyway, and they'll probably not lose anybody in January, Mansfield. Whereas Bolton, even though they're a massive club for this league, they're easily one of the biggest two, they might lose some of the best players to championship teams, and if they lose the best players, Bolton, they're stuffed. Whereas Mansfield lose the best players and just keep going. Like at minute, where are these two? So 8th and 11th for Bolton and Huddersfield. If I'm to say where I actually think they will finish in May, and if I'm to do what I actually think it'll be based on the current top 11 that we've got, I do think these are both playoff sides. I'm definitely more confident in Huddersfield on the manager aspect that they've got, because he just will get him in there, Duff, regardless. Even though he might not have it in him, he's definitely not going to be an auto chaser Huddersfield because of the way that he constantly sits back after they start winning, which is quite embarrassing with the squad that they've got in this league. But Bolton, I still think they will get in there, but I'm less confident based on they could maybe lose players in January, and if they do lose the better players, which they win games on moments of brilliance, I could maybe see Bolton scraping it as opposed to Huddersfield that I just think definitely will be in top 6. And I'm going to go back to my Mansfield point actually, because they're up next. Mansfield are in 7th in league at minute with 2 games in hand, 3 games in hand on some of these teams. Jesus, they've started really, really well. How I'm talking about Bolton maybe losing some of the best players and then they'll be stuffed. Mansfield did lose the best player this summer to us. The loss done to Barnsley, who last season got 22 goals and 10 assists. 32 goal contributions in 46 games is a ridiculous return. Obviously, you may be thinking that they might rely on him to keep him up at start. Before, obviously, hindsight's great, innit? And the 7th minute, but nobody would have said that at the start. Even Mansfield fans wouldn't have said that. They're relying on very good players that they've got to maybe keep them up, you would think. However, they've lost the best player, and now after coming straight up from League Two, they sat with games in hand on some better teams in this division that they can just leapfrog. They could end up in 4th by the time they played the games in hand. And after losing him, I'm not going to lie to you, I did think there would be a bottom end at table in some sort of dogfight. I'm not scared. I'm not scared to admit that. I was wrong. It does happen to us all. I know, even me, I can be wrong. But they've got a very, very balanced side, which I really, really like. There are no serious star players in this squad. You look at this and tell me the best player is, you might have 4 people giving you a different answer for them all. They've obviously got Lee Gregory up front and Will Evans, who are very, very good players and they work well together. Lee Gregory would score goals if he had a Walker. Lee Gregory would score goals, especially against us, a little bastard. The main standout to me is not from a personnel point with Mansfield. It's that they're always in games. Always. In league this season, with Mansfield, there has only been one game that has been decided by more than 1 goal. Or 2 goals even, more than 2 goals. And it's Lincoln away, which were very early on in the lost 4-1. They got hammered. And you might think that I'm saying this as a positive thing when I've said it's a negative side of things from a Huddersfield point of view. But this is 2 completely different categories. You've got 2 completely different expectations, Huddersfield and Mansfield. Huddersfield should be going 1 or 2-0 up and trying to go for 3 and 4 and 5. Mansfield to be 2-0 up against these teams at first place is like a small miracle. They've just come up from League 2 and Huddersfield are just coming out from Championship. They should not be... Hello? They should not be playing the same way or having the same sort of mentality and look on games. They should not. Like, every game is like 2-1, 2-0, 1-0, 1-1. All the league games are so close. And like I said about Bolton have got players that they could lose and then be in serious trouble, whereas Mansfield, and they're at such a consistent level throughout, I think. We're a manager in Clough who is going to have them in every single game. They're always going to be tight and he's going to have them in them all. They're never going to get battered, I don't think, again for the rest of the year. Obviously, they played Birmingham at home and they drew. They were in game until end. They're going to be a very, very hard team to beat these. They're defensively very good as well. Only conceded 15 goals so far. I do worry about them maybe longevity-wise if they can keep these sort of levels up. Because they have just come up from League 2. Obviously, so have Wrexham and Stockport, but they're in completely different boats when they come up anyway, the squads that they've got. Can Mansfield keep it up for the entire season? I maybe don't think so. I think they will end up... They're in 7th for many games, and I could maybe see them finishing in the 7th to 10th range. I'd really like to see him go up. As long as Barnes go up, I don't care. But I would really like to see him go up or get into playoffs. But I just don't know if they've got that consistent level in them as far as full season goes. Which can be based on things that happen in January as well. Like, it's one thing keeping your players, which Mansfield will probably do. I don't think they'll lose anybody. But that's only one aspect of January. You are going up against teams like Birmingham, even Wrexham now, Huddersfield, Bolton, Barnsley, Peterborough, Charlton. Do you know what I mean? That are going to get to January and spend money that Mansfield maybe just haven't got. So it's one thing keeping your players, but from my experience of looking at this league in the last couple of years, I'd say I know it a decent amount now. January decides it for you, and if you have not got the money to go up against these sides that will bring better players in, you are going to fade away. Like, obviously with the League 2 friends that have come up with them, Stockport and Wrexham, their expectations for them were higher than they were for Mansfield. It's not a bad thing to say that. It just shows that Mansfield are outperforming their expectations, probably more than anybody in league so far. And if I look at Stockport first, they're maybe a little bit too inconsistent for me. Obviously, they played each other at weekend. I'm recording this the day after, so they played each other at weekend, Stockport and Wrexham, and Stockport have won 1-0 and deserve to as well, which is another point I'm going to come on to with Wrexham in a minute. But Stockport are just way too inconsistent for me at minute. Like, in the last 7 games, all comps have gone loss, win, win, loss, win, loss, win. They've had a 5-0 loss, then a 5-0 win, then a 2-0 loss at home to Tranmere, to then beat Wrexham. Like, they're so all over the place constantly. There's no consistency there. The consistency is that they're inconsistent. A wise man once said, and to be fair, like Mansfield, I think Stockport have got a very even squad throughout, with the exception of Louis Barry, who's obviously one of the best players in the league. I don't know the full ins and outs of this deal. Can Villa recall him in January and send him to Championship? Because if Stockport, obviously Stockport could definitely be in top 6 in January, but if they fall to 12th, for example, Could Villa take him and plop him in Championship, which you'd think it would make sense from a business point of view for Villa to do that. They could maybe be a bit stumped if they do that and they lose Barry, because he is obviously the best player by an absolute mile. But other than that, I do think it's quite a level playing field. I like the defence. I like the balance that they've got in middle with Lewis Bate and Norwood. That's a really good midfield too, that. And they look a goal threat in basically every game. But do I think they'll finish in top 6 Stockport, even though they're 4th currently? No. I see them being just outside it, to be honest. Whereas Wrexham, for me, even though they lost this game, I think they are more likely to finish in there than Stockport are. They are pushing autos at the minute. Obviously, the loss away at Stockport doesn't help, because if these win the games in hand, you can be like, 7 points behind Wickham and Birmingham. And I do think they will drop off as season goes, but they are very, very well drilled. Defensively, they're very, very good. And I've said before about Parkinson that the other 2 seasons, the other 2 promotions are not impressive in the slightest. They've brought either League One standard players or old boys with loads and loads of experience down to National League where there's no financial fair play, or even to League Two, spending loads and loads of money. Them promotions are not impressive at all. I'm not being funny. Me gran could get him promoted with them squads. But this season, and how he's setting him up and how they're playing and the results and how defensively solid they are, this is impressive. From the manager's point of view, who I think is shit, by the way, for the most part, until like this season, really. This is really good. Because this squad, I do not care what anybody says. Take your rose-tinted glasses off and look at this Wrexham squad. It's bang average. This, if I'm not joking, you could put a Shrewsbury badge, or just cover that and pretend it's Shrewsbury or Burton. I won't bat an eye at you. I just think, all right, yeah, another bang average League One side, it means no. Because they've got a couple of players that are maybe like slightly close to top end League One, but then you're like, ooh, like a Conquo net who's injured a minute. Who else is there? Elliot Lee's a good League One player. Maybe Jack Marriott, where is he? Is he injured as well? But other than that, it's nothing. This is a nothing squad. But Parkinson has got them 3rd and chasing automatics, so they must be doing something right. The defensively very, very solid. They're structured really, really good. They are like they're the sort of team that you would want to play against Bolton. Do you know what I mean? I think they got a draw away at their place earlier in season, 0-0 if I remember it right. I'm sure it on telly. And Bolton were a better side. But Wrexham had just executed the game plan perfectly. You sit back, you let him have loads at ball, you just be very structured defensively. You've got a lump up front in Ollie Palmer, who you can just hit from 1,000 miles away and they'll probably just touch it down for you and just let all your team come up on pitch with him. It's the literal blueprint on getting out of League One if you've got a shit team. It's the exact blueprint of getting out. But I do think we are starting to see a drop-off performance-wise recently. Where were the Birmingham game? Because in that, they got like shown serious level. Since then, they got a win, draw, loss, win, draw, draw. To be fair, the results aren't that bad. Another win there. And a loss away at Stockport. But I do think the performances are dropping off and they're riding the luck a little bit. Like the Mansfield game especially. Mansfield were better side in that game, and they relied on a moment of brilliance, Wrexham, from like a centre half or something that scored a peach. So the performances are dropping off, and they are riding the luck a little bit. And I do think they will fall from an auto chase to maybe like scrapping to stay in playoffs. But I do think they will stay in there. I really think like them and Bolton, I could see being like 5th and 6th. It is my current prediction. But that'd still be a really good season as well, by the way. They've come up from League Two. They've come up from National League all the way to playoffs in League One if that's how it goes. It's ridiculous. Regardless of money that they've spent. In fact, no, not regardless of money that they've spent. Right, next, I'm gonna talk about Reading very briefly because I could see them fading away, maybe sort of like an Exeter as well. Which is harsh, but it's true. It's literally just what I think. I've not seen loads and loads of them, like 90 minutes wise. I've obviously watched highlights of like every single game that's happened basically in League One. And there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, like ownership wise. One thing that I do like about Reading is where they're getting the goals from, because it's literally everywhere. They're scoring so many different types of goals, which I'm really, really liking. I like Sellers, the manager. But I do worry about them in January as well. And if they can, again, maybe like a Mansfield, keep up the consistency performance-wise. Because Reading, like, massive club for this league. Well, not massive. They're a big team for this league. Is the squad that good? Not really. Can I see them sustaining it all the way through and defying expectations really for a full season? I cannot, unfortunately. Lincoln, if we look at them next, they're 6th at minute, which is really, really good. Another side that's been sort of flirting with playoffs for the last couple of years, but they never really like... And they did get in it, actually, for like 4 or 5 years ago, didn't they? I remember that. But then, like, last season, they should have definitely got in. Because they went on this stupid run of form where they didn't lose in about 100 games. They lost to Wigan there, and then they lost on last day against Portsmouth, who did win league, in fairness, to get in. Or they'd have got into playoffs over us, which is crazy. But obviously, they've been unlucky. In fact, that the best player last season were on loan from Go on, where's he from? From Luton. Taylor up front. He was scoring for fun. They lost a keeper to Millwall as well. So they've lost the keeper and the striker, which is arguably two of the best free players, I would say, with that midfielder. I forgot his name now. The defence is really, really good as well, and I do like the manager. But the thing is about Lincoln, they're really hard to beat. Very, very hard. I've always said about, like, there's certain teams in League One when if you're a big side that's trying to get promoted, you will go here and lose. You will. You'll go to like a Bristol Rovers and lose. There's certain teams that have just like got a knack on you in this league, and you always seem to just drop points there. But they've only lost 3 times this season in league so far, which were Barnsley at home, Birmingham at home, and then a freak result away at Crawley where they got Arsenal 3-0. So they've lost to probably what is going to be your top 2. Guys. They've lost to 2 of your better sides and then Crawley in a freak result. Other than that, they've not lost in league. They're very, very hard to beat. But the thing is, I just think they're, you know how I would describe them? I would describe Lincoln as a worse Barnsley. With how they're set up and how everything is going. I would describe Lincoln as a worse Barnsley. And for that reason, I think they'll be just outside. Which leaves Wickham, Birmingham and Barnsley. Let's just talk about Birmingham now, actually. Let's get that out of the way. Because despite the fact that they're second in league, they are going to win the league. Let's not take piss, they're going to win the league. And they should be top at league. They shouldn't have even lost a game yet. They shouldn't have dropped a point. Spent 45 million winning League One. Sad guess. They have had 2 draws in a row in league before this break, which was a Mansfield away and Northampton at home. That were really, really poor defending from Sanderson, in fairness. But Northampton, have got some players. So, decent point. And maybe other teams are smelling blood a little bit once this international break's done, because obviously you've seen that they can drop points. They've only won 2 out of the last 5 games in league, if you want to put it that way. But no, there's no realm, there is no alternate universe where Birmingham don't get north of 100 points. Do you know what I mean? If they don't get 100, I'll be shooketh. The only thing that could maybe go against them, Birmingham, is that aside from Bolton, but teams don't really see this with Bolton anymore because they've been here for that long, Birmingham are going to be all these smaller sides cup final. Everybody's going to go and play Birmingham and like up the game because they're playing Birmingham. Do you know what I mean? They're playing like a massive side, which could go against them, but I don't think it will. Like the only realistic thing that I've got as maybe any sort of thing that you can take away from Birmingham is that they're winning in cups. Right? What is this camera? This camera's shit. Sorry, I didn't even have my light on blue as well. I'm going to sack my assistant if he carries on. They're going far in cups, Birmingham. They're obviously going far in Papa John's. They arseholed Fulham's kids like 7-1. Stansfield were like, I'm going to teach my mates a lesson in that one. But they're winning FA Cup as well. They're obviously, every international break, they're getting cancelled because of the players that they've got. So, it'll get to a point where, like, especially if they keep winning FA Cup, if they get to like February and March, they could be in a position where they've got like 5 games in hand, 4 or 5 games in hand. And then you're playing Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. You slip up in one of them games and maybe like people can get you. Your form can just go out of window very, very quickly when you're playing that fast all the time and you're playing catch up. Birmingham could feel pressure massively. Alt media will be getting on them if they've got loads of games in hand and they're like 4th in maybe like March instead of being top at league, which they probably will be once they've won the games in hand. Do you know what I mean? But it's going to be a lot of pressure. There's going to be a lot of tension on it, and they're going to have a lot of games in not a lot of time. That's the only way they could maybe slip up. However, like I've just said, I'm absolutely waffling because they're going to get 107 points, so it means no. Like, just do me a favour and look at this team. Seriously, just look. You don't even have to say anything. Cockroach. These defenders, nuts. Ethan Laird's good. The midfield is easily one of the 2 best in league. Last season's top goal scorer. £15 million striker. Hello? That Harris from Fulham. This lad. Dykes, who's crap anyway, but still. Like, Mark Lennon on bench, not even getting on pitch. It's a super team. They're going to smash everybody. So yeah, they're going to win league. And for a laugh, let's look at Barnsley last so that I can keep my viewer retention up. Wickham are top of the league over world record spending Birmingham by winning what? What is it? Like 8 out of the last 9 games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of the last 10 games, all comps have been wins. The one draw is away at Barnsley, which I thought Wickham looked crap, by the way. I'm just going to keep it a buck fiddy right now. I thought Wickham looked shite when we played them, and I was gutted that we'd somehow scraped a draw when we should have won easily. But they've kept the manager, Wickham, which is a massive, massive asset that they've got. They've somehow kept him like, I think Coventry was sniffing around him, but then Coventry have gone for big name, haven't they? They've not got anybody as of now, but like Van Nistelrooy and Lee Carsley and Lampard are going for that type of job. So Do you know what I mean? It's not for Bloomfield. And I will talk about the players in a minute. The most impressive thing for me with Wickham, and probably the most impressive thing at all in this league to me, is how they keep winning games in different ways. I'm absolutely loving it. Seriously, I'm loving it. They can go from dominating a game, like away at Stockport, by the way, which is a fucking horrible place to go and try and win. The arsehole and 5-0. Loads and loads of high quality chances. They made Stockport create nothing. Like, even had even amount of ball. Gareth Ainsworth will be spinning in his grave. This is not the Wickham I know. But then they could go from that to this. The game after, away at Wigan, who defensively are very good in fairness. But Wickham have they've gone there, had none at ball, had fairly even amount of shots in fairness, but the chances created Wigan massively in favour. And Wickham have won that as well. So they're winning in such different ways. It is so impressive. And I've said this about Sheffield United as well. It's a sign of a very good side if you can play shit or not play at your best and still win and still keep a clean sheet. And Wickham are doing it. And it is scary to see. Because I just love balance at squad and all. Like, the midfield's really good. Scowen and Morley with Humphries in front. It's the perfect, dynamic across board. Udo and Onyedinma, Coney up front. The defensive's really good. They've got a very good team. And I think it has flown under the radar a little bit with how good that they've done the recruitment. Because it's a very good squad. They've got a very good manager. And it's so frustrating from my point of view, right, as a Barnsley fan, or if you're like a Bolton or someone like this as well, or a Peterborough maybe, that you've been one step away constantly for the last couple of years. Because before it's even started, you know that one at positions to go up anyway is gone because of Birmingham will come and spend 300 million quid. Wickham are being freaks and they need to grow up because I want to get out of this league and this is not helping. And in fairness, maybe everyone else in the world will have a different outcome on this to me. I think Wickham are going to be right up there, all the way to end. I do think they're going to be in an auto race. It's too easy to just say, oh yeah, you're going to go and do it now. There will be races for autos all the way to end. We could be 9 points behind them if they win the game now. We could be 9 points behind them. But I think Wickham finish in playoffs. And I'm not just saying this to take piss. Let me just cipher through my colours quickly. I think Barnsley going up autos, and I am not joking. I'm not kidding. I'm not saying this to take piss. I thought it first year when we had Duff and we got to Wembley against Wednesday and we got robbed. End of the day, we got robbed. Whatever you want to say. We played good. We got scammed big time. Last season, obviously I'm deluded, so I was thinking that we'd go up anyway, all the way to a couple of weeks before it ended because we were falling off a cliff. We didn't have a manager in playoffs. At that point, I've just got to delude myself into believing. Do you know what I mean? I didn't actually think we'd go up at that point. However, the position that I'm in now mentally, these performances that I'm seeing are the best that I've seen while we've been in League One. Since international break, here, when we lost to Huddersfield, and Huddersfield looked good against us in fairness. Huddersfield looked really good in these games. Since then, we've gone to Blackpool away, a good side, and won. Charlton, I don't know how we didn't win that. Shrewsbury, win, no danger. Port Vale, I'm just ignoring that one because we played kids. Top of League 2, who were fairly good side. Win, no danger. Absolutely arseholed Rotherham. That should have been a lot more. Yes, we lost to Cambridge. No, we didn't lose. It felt like a loss in fairness. We drew to Cambridge, and it's wow, 2 points dropped. But, and I can't stress this enough, I do not care about that result. I don't care. Which for me is a big thing because normally I just don't care how you perform. I just want points. But we are playing so good. We're creating so many chances. The first half weren't good, but second half we dominated. So many good chances. We've got a player in Humphries that I'm literally in love with. We haven't had a striker like that in years. It's just, I feel like I've watched so much League One football over the last few years and I can see what's coming from it to a certain extent. I am from the future and I'm telling you, I believe that this is the one. And I don't think it's the one for playoffs. I think we're going up in second. I really do. Please believe me. The squad that we've got, defensively, I'm worried sometimes, or I were before international break, but I'm not now. Roberts has been really good. And if you're a Birmingham fan, just I can see what you're going to say already. As midfield is really good. Humphries, he's mint. Done in fairness. You can see that he's a really good player. We need to finish his chances a little bit more because we've drawn this game. I mean, their goal was just hilarious. We could have won this 5-0. We should have bet Rotherham 5 or 6-0. And it's alright, shoulda, woulda, coulda. We've got to start doing it. And I'm not worried, in fairness, about it because I do think it'll come. I think we're queuing up to tonk somebody big time. I really do. And maybe this is me being deluded or just an idiot or whatever. I don't care. I think we're going up autos. I really, really do. So that means that I've got Birmingham and Barnsley top 2 with Wickham, Huddersfield, Wrexham and Bolton in top 6 to make up playoffs. That is where I'm at in this international break. Obviously, that can all change when we get to, like, I don't know, February 1st. But for now, that's where I'm at. I genuinely believe. So thank you as always, boys, for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. I love you. Seriously, I love everybody that makes me be able to do this as a job. But I won't love it if we don't go up this time because I might fall off a cliff. Fall. Thank you as always for watching, boys, and I'll see you in a bit. Come on!
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us me tits.